This is amazing.
That was, I don't know whose house it was before, but that was Lawrence's place.
On the corner.
Across the street from Stevens' store. And who that old guy is, I don't know, but I think it's right alongside of where that little house is now, in front of Fox's funeral home.
Oh.
There was a meat market in there when I was a kid.
Yes. Oh,
Jonie Potts.
Yep.
Now, these were John Greene originally gave this land here to the town for the monument for the First World War.
Okay.
Now, of course, they moved the monument now up
to the hill, yeah.
Which I didn't like. But John Greene lived right here.
Okay.
Harry George lived here.
Yep.
And that was Isaac Rockefeller's before that. And that was Edith Crawford's father.
I know the houses you need.
Yeah. And those are all from the dedication.
Yep.
Now, I think...
I think we have, maybe you gave it to Marguerite, and she made some copies.
She copied them. But
I'm delighted to get to
I'm coming to the end of the line, and there's no sense in me keeping these, and they'd only get thrown out.
Okay.
And,
well, we're delighted to get the... I came prepared to scan stuff, but it's kind of late in the day to do a lot of that stuff. And
so you don't need the map then?
Yes, we do need it. We'll take the map. Tuck it right in there.
And of course, next door is Harry George's. Then this was my... This was Bill Rockefeller, which was my grandmother. And I don't know who came first, but I suspect that Isaac built that house there.
Okay.
I don't know. I never pursued it. This one, I think, I don't know whether Phil built it or not, but it was fairly new in the 1890s when my grandmother and he were married. So, and some of the stuff, that lamp on the table, came out of that house.
Oh, that's a nice old lamp.
Yeah, and well, it's a slate glass. I saw on the Antiques Roadshow it's worth about $1,200.
Yeah, well.
But here, you can take that and hit it with that. No.
Before I forget, they were all curious about that arch bridge.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Well, they're not sure where.
Couldn't find it?
Well, it's not there now.
No.
And I don't, I don't recognize it. It's a very narrow bridge too.
Yeah. Oh, it may have been torn out.
Well, you talked to Marguerite on the phone, and you told her something about you thought it was on Jug Road, or
because
Jug Road towards Woods Road.
When Walt Miller and I took the pictures, this was also near the old arch bridge, whatever it was.
Okay.
Now this I wrote down. It was
north of
it was a merit badge project that I did.
Yeah.
And I took these. I don't know who took that one, but it was in the same batch. And I developed them in Walt Miller's shop.
Okay, that's a good picture.
You might as well take that one too and put it with the old arch bridge. It's right next to it, wherever it is. And Walt just had me snapping pictures so I could go back and learn to develop them. That was part of my merit badge project.
What kind of camera were you using? What kind of a camera at that?
That was a box Brownie.
Box Brownie.
Brownie box camera. Yep. Matter of fact, well, these weren't. But some of these were taken with the Bounty Bruck camera when I was in the Army.
Okay.
But eventually I bought a speed graphic off an Army officer's wife that he was overseas and she didn't want it.
This is World War II?
World War II, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in San Francisco.
Okay.
And they sent me to California right after I went into active service, and I never left California except to go on parole. I spent
that would be all
most
right.
of the war in San Francisco, and all of these pictures are San Francisco. But you're probably not interested in those particularly. But the ones that now. These are the ones that came out of my mom's photo album. And these are a lot of those that you saw.
Yeah, these are the ones I'd like to scan. These are the ones I'd like to scan.
Well, if you're coming back, you could take this with you.
Well, I was hoping you would say that. I've got my computer. I just know how long it takes. You know, the only thing is, it's good to have you with me, you know, to tell me what the pictures are.
Well, I'd be able to. I can't tell you what all of them are because I don't know. This was my mom and somebody that a fellow by the name of George Fay that she was going with.
Yeah, yeah.
And George came up from New York to see her. And
lucky for you, that didn't work out.
well, Mom's diary. I have one of her diaries. It says George proposed last night and was refused. And her diary the next morning says George went away on the early train. However, he came back again because his other pictures after this date. See, this is 1915. Mom was only 19 years old. She was born in 96. And there are later pictures of George. So he came back, but he still wasn't successful. Somehow my father got in there.
And this is the house you grew up in?
This is the house my mother grew up in.
Okay.
I lived there from the time when I was born. Dad was on the railroad, and he shortly left the railroad to go because my grandfather, Rockefeller, Philip III, died when I was just a baby. I was born in May, died in October. And Dad went back there to help Granny run the farm. They didn't get along worth a damn. And in 1927, Dad bought the place out on Hilltop Road.
Okay.
And
so
we were there till 39.
Where was this house?
This is the one up, the first one up from Isaac Rockefeller's.
Okay, from Maple, on Main Street.
And you wouldn't recognize it today because
Porch looks different.
the porch was all taken off.
Yeah.
At least the front part of it. Dad left this part. How it is now, I don't know. But he built a brick porch here on the front because this got all rotten, so he took it off. But otherwise, the house looks pretty much the same. I don't know who owns it now.
Did you know my family? My dad, Robert Coons, Robert W., up by North Germantown.
Yes, yeah, sure. He used to play ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you play ball at those days?
No, I didn't play much baseball until I got in high school.
Yeah.
Dad used to play. He, matter of fact, Dad had 5 brothers, and they all played baseball.
Baseball was pretty big.
And I used to catch for my dad when I'd warm him up before the games.
Now, you're right-handed, right?
Hmm?
Well, a couple of those photos you sent us were of guys playing at the school.
I was in the Army then. Those pictures of Lutfinger and Harold Weeks that I sent you,
yeah,
I took when I was on furlough from the Army.
Okay.
I came home, and I'll never forget, I only saw one game, and I went down there for that. And I'm standing there, and there's a whole bunch of people around, and I said something about, that's a hell of a way to do it, or that was one hell of a shot, I don't know what. And somebody, that's Reverend Reisig standing there. So, I don't know if you ever knew him or not.
No, before
he was
my
the
time.
Lutheran Church, and he was really a first-class guy. I liked Reisig very, very much after I got to know him.
Well, I was born in 48, so I know the North German town.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. So, but, now this is my mom's high school class. That's my mother right there. And this is Julia Rockefeller. Julia never married.
Yeah.
But she had quite a reputation. She went in the Army and became, I don't know, a full colonel. Went in the Marines, I mean. She was in the Marines.
Wow.
And I remember I used to play a lot of pinochle with Julia after the war. She and my father and Lutfinger and Vernon Miller. There was a guy, a retired revenue man, border patrol guy. Can't remember his name. He used to play. And we played with Julia one night, and they got asking her about the old days and how if you ever did anything, if you had to take a chaperone with you. And Julia said, shit. just like that. With a bunch of guys around. She said things are just the same now as they were then. If you wanted to do it, you found a way to do it.
I think that's true.
But Julia never married.
But she became a Marine. That's a kind of, at that time, a woman in the military is kind of unusual.
Yeah. To go as far as she did.
Yes.
But another story she told us, they asked her, of course, we talked a lot about the military because I'd been in, and they got asking Julia about her experiences. And she said, they were all pretty good. I enjoyed it because I had a good rank and so on. But he said, well, how did you get along with the men? And she said, good. She said, I remember one time a soldier came in to ask me a question. He came in and saluted, and we answered his questions, and he went out. But when he went out, the door didn't close. And his buddy was waiting outside for him to come out. And the guy, his buddy said to him, what was she like? And the soldier said, she was okay. A smart son of a bitch, though. And Julia said, I took that as a real compliment.
Right.
She was that kind of a woman.
Yeah. Outspoken and
Yeah.
That's funny.
So any of these that you want to take, and then after you got them, I'd be happy to tell you.
Right. I think.
See, here's George Fay again. But and this I think was my grandmother. I just took this one out. Was another picture of this woman with my mother and a family member. Just this summer, I got in contact with a woman in North Carolina who is a descendant of one of my grandmother's brothers. I never knew anything about the family, and we've had a great time. She came here to visit me, and we I put a lot of that on the computer too. And of course, this was my mother's wedding. Unfortunately, it came very dark. The women wore the hats, but and this is me and my brother Vernon. He was younger.
Now, are you related to Reggie up in Albany?
Reg? Now, don't ask me for sure because I don't know, but Reg is, folks I think came out of Red Hook. Now, I've been asked one to...
Because there's Reggie...
You could ask Marguerite about this.
Right.
Who's Keith Denegar's father?
And Lyle, right? Isn't he the other one? Lyle, isn't there a Lyle Denegar?
Yes, there was a Lyle. I don't know. I think he's
in Red Hook, I believe.
Is he still living?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he's Keith's father?
All I know is Marguerite talked to, and I believe she said Lyle. He made the stamp for the...
yeah, I know he did.
Yeah.
Marguerite told me.
Yes.
By the way, she said she mailed me a package. I never got it.
Shoot.
She's going to mail me another one.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. And I've talked to Reg many times. As a matter of fact, I talked to him on the telephone just a couple of months ago. But he just doesn't seem to be interested in passing along that information. And because I a couple of times asked him, he never bothered.
Well,
so if I could find out who
his parents are.
Keith's father, Reg, I think, was one of Lyle's children. Now, I'm not sure. You asked me if I had this on my computer.
Yeah. I think I brought my flash drive. But I'll come back anyway. Well, I met Reg because
you could take this along now. This one I got labeled on the back.
Yep. Mrs. Oakey, I remember her.
Huh?
I remember Mrs. Oakey well.
Yeah. Wow. It's the whole bunch. It's
all those gals, I remember them.
Oh, nuts. See, these you probably care for. It's not necessary.
So you were born and raised in Germantown.
Huh?
You were born and raised in Germantown.
Well, I was born in Hudson.
Hudson, yeah.
I was raised in Germantown. I lived, as I say, we moved out to Hilltop Farm, and we stayed there until 1939. And of course, the Depression that really was... Dad unfortunately paid a mint for the farm, and then the Depression came and he couldn't pay it off. So his equity in the farm wasn't very big. And when I came time for me to graduate from high school, Dad said to me, "You want to stay on the farm and work this?" Because I said I wanted to go to college at least. My father said, "Well, I can't afford to send you to college," but I wiggled my way around and got some money, and I went to college. I went to pharmacy college.
Yeah.
But
in Albany?
In Albany, yes. And that's where I stayed because I taught there for 35 years.
Oh.
But, what I started to say.
Well, the Depression and the farm.
Yeah, on the farm, and we stayed there till 39. And then we moved down to the house below Isaac Rockefeller's, which had belonged to another Rockefeller, Rosanna Rockefeller, had married Louis Pulver, who owned a bunch of tugboats. And I've got a picture of one of the tugs in there on the wall. It says Louis L. Pulver. But we lived in that house for a while, and then we moved up on there. We made the packing house up on my grandmother's farm, just beyond where Leland Crawford lived, because the farm was way up there. And he and Mom moved in there. I spent a few nights there, but I never lived, because they did that while I was in the war.
So you taught at Albany?
Yeah.
At Albany Pharmacy itself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I graduated in 43, went in service. I was already in service. I enlisted and they gave me time to finish college. And as soon as I graduated, they put me on active service. And I spent 3 years in the Army. And when I came out, I went back to the college to ask the dean if there were any jobs that he would suggest. I was, because the drugstores always used to come in and look for them. This is my grandson, Cody.
Hi, I'm Rich.
And the dean at that time, Dean O'Brien, said, did you ever think of teaching? Me, a farm boy, teaching in college. But I said, he said, well, I need somebody for the summer. Well, I tried for 35 years and then quit. But I had a very nice life there. It was good. And some of these are, now this stuff doesn't mean anything at all.
That's funny. My mom, she went to Albany Teachers College.
Oh, yeah?
About the same time. Because I think she graduated in about 39.
Yeah? Oh, 39.
Something like that, yeah. 39, 40. And then she came to Germantown to teach high school.
No, she came back to teach in Germantown?
Yeah. She was from Rochester. She came from Rochester.
Oh.
And then, but she
No,
lived...
what was her name?
King. She was a king from Fairport.
I graduated in 39.
She lived with Barringers. Eunice Barringer.
Oh, yeah.
Her best friend.
I remember Eunice.
Yeah. So she lived with Eunice, that family, right next door to my dad.
Now, this was one that was taken of a coal storage group. And I don't know who they are, except my mom.
That's why I'm kind of hoping, enough people look at them, we'll figure stuff out.
Well, if you blew it up. Yeah, this is my mom here. Now, who the rest of those people are, I don't know. But they all worked at the coal storage. So if you blew it up, there might be some people would know them.
Or from, yearbooks. We have some yearbooks from back then, but they're older, so I don't know.
That looks like Ethel Potts. I don't know if she worked there or not. Oh, that's Madeline Chapel there.
Okay, I remember Madeline.
Yeah. And this is my brother working on the farm. And this is where Dad built a little barn up on the farm. This is looking out of my grandmother's window toward as I say, the farm was up the lane, we always said, beyond Leland Crawford's. All of that land at one time belonged to the Rockefellers.
Right.
And they cut it up between their children.
Yeah.
And so the piece that my Philip had was, I guess about 20 acres or something like that up the lane. But this barn was on Isaac Rockefeller's property. This shed is on Philip Rockefeller's property. And then there was a vacant lot in between that belonged to Isaac, which eventually Edith Crawford had. And she and my grandmother fought over that land for years because Granny had the right to have a garden down here. And my mother wanted to purchase this land. Edith would never sell it. And there's where Bullard, remember Bullard?
Mr. Bullard, yeah. Pop
That's
Bullard.
where he built his house, right in there.
Okay.
And the barns, there were two big barns back there, gone now. One was had a whole bunch of carriages and sleighs where they kept those. And then the other barn was a hay barn with a lower level where they had 2 horses and usually a couple of cows. My grandmother Rockefeller milked a cow until she was 70 years old.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I've walked in that land back behind the houses or ever or not. I don't know.
But some of these, I haven't got them.
Oh, great, you have a...
Yeah, but that's only for the front part of it. I never got this finished.
Well,
And that's Mom and Dad with a guy that worked for us out on Hilltop Road. And these are all the folks. His dad was quite a fisherman. He was a trout fisher.
trout, okay. I find it on the computer, that's the best part about it. You can make the picture so big and there.
And this one was my brother. That's a largemouth bass. It
Wow.
came out of that lake there.
What lake is that? Is that North Lake?
I don't know the name of it. We
Oh.
called it Stoutenburg. It was down toward Pine Plains.
Oh, wow.
And we used to go there bass fishing.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of Jew camps on the thing. And you probably never knew my uncle Bill either, because he moved to Florida after the war. But we were fishing down there one night, and this Jewish fella was fishing off the end of the dock and cast out and caught the hook in the seat of his pants. And so he yelled, it was daylight, had just turned daylight, and he said, "Hey, would you come here and get this hook out of the seat of my pants?" So Bill said, "Sure," and we pulled up to the dock, and Bill took out his fish knife. He said, "Here you are." The swath of cloth right on. Geez, the guy was better now. But Bill was a character. I remember one time we were down there and the fish weren't hitting. So he said, "We'll have a little fun," he said. So we did have one small bass, and we put him on the hook and let him go. And first thing Bill said, "I got one." We pulled him. We caught that same fish about 10 times, and finally he said, "It's getting daylight. We guess we better get out of here before they found out we've been faking it all night." So we had one stinking bass. This was another high school. My mom was, now that's the old farm out there. That's where I live. And this is my brother on the farm. This was down at Rosanna Pulver's place. This is the farm, Hilltop Road. The guy owns it now. I'd have to look in there. Barabini.
Yeah.
Right
up on top of Hilltop. Yeah.
Huh?
Right up on Hilltop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, well, it's the first house on, at least the last time, it's the first house on the right as you go in from Route 8.
Okay.
And it's back up, you got to go up a lane.
Up on the hill, yeah.
Up on the hill. But the farm doesn't have the configuration that it used to have. Parts have been traded off and sold, and other parts have been added. I understand he's raising apples. I stopped and saw him a couple times, and I have corresponded with him at Christmas for a long time, but probably won't this year because I'm just not healthy enough to make Christmas cards. But
well, you sound pretty good.
well, I sound good, Rich, as long as I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
But just if I get up and walk over there, or even over to the bed, I'd have to stop for 5 minutes and get my breath.
Really? Yeah.
I just can't keep up.
Yeah.
Of course, this is on the bag, I think.
Yes, yes. That's one you shared with us.
Well, you could take this along.
I will, and
Promise
I'll
to bring
either
it
come
back.
back next weekend.
Here's another
I think I'll come.
farm picture. Now, I've got one in one of these books that shows the shed down there.
Now,
when we were there, we used it as a pig pen.
That's your farm?
Yeah. Hilltop Road.
Okay.
And they eventually made an apartment out of it.
Because I didn't know where that house was. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen that picture and
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's it. And the house doesn't look the same because they got a closed-in front porch now. And whoever owned it, sometime after the war, and I suspect there was a nutty army man that had it. He built a huge indoor swimming pool and dance hall. Now, what he was doing with that, I don't know, because couldn't have parties there. Wasn't any place to park up there. But Barabini took it through and showed me to it. He bought it because the last owner, whoever that was, just walked off and left it. Couldn't pay the mortgage or didn't want to pay it. And Barabini, who was a retired, well, he's not retired yet, he plans to retire, state man who's a guard in one of the prisons.
Oh.
And wants to retire and raise apples, I hope. Just wish him success. But an interesting thing about that farm, too, when I stopped to see Barabini, he said, "Do you know anything about that tombstone?" I said, "What tombstone?" He said, "Out here." I said, "Come on, I'll show you." So we go out, and there's a tombstone lying flat on the ground near where, when we lived there was a whole bunch of big pine trees, so it could have been covered up then, but I never saw it. I suspect it was maybe knocked off its base and taken out of the cemetery. But it was strangely enough, for a Denegar, Dukes was her name, she was David Rockefeller's daughter. And the funny thing was that at one time, David Rockefeller, back in the 1800s, owned that property. I didn't know that until I researched it. But I never got around to finding out how that tombstone got there. Did they bury her there? Well, a research guy at one time said that she was buried in the Reformed Church Cemetery and listed her tombstone.
Right.
But now that tombstone is up on that farm.
Yeah.
And I said to Barabini, I said, "Well, it's your property. You could do what you want." I said, "Let's dig." He said, "Not me, buddy."
Well, but that.
And I wrote to Peter Finger and told him about it because he's a Rockefeller.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he'd research it and find out whether that tombstone had been on the Reformed Church Cemetery.
See, I know the Methodist Church. There's that cemetery in North Germantown. They actually moved a lot of people up on Valley View. Mm-hmm. And we have a tombstone in front of the door from that period. And I guess they didn't, they put a different stone. And
well, this one, she died in 1867 or 68.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But she could have been buried on the farm.
She could have been buried there, but...
But it's funny, the stone...
I don't know. But why did a guy list her tombstone as being in the Reformed Church Cemetery? Yeah. Unless there was a name on some stone...
Oh, yeah.
...that indicated that she might have been, and they did bury her up on the farm. So, and I wasn't able to determine exactly when David Rockefeller owned that property. So, it's a mystery. Now these guys, I've labeled, and these are old-time people. Back when I was a kid, a fellow by the name of Wilson ran the drugstore, and his oldest son John, so here, that's John, died of polio. And he used to be friends with my grandfather. And he claimed that my grandfather was not careful, and John got the polio from visiting down at my grandfather's.
What building is that?
But it's John, and then Robert DuBois, his father ran the bank.
Okay.
And you heard of him?
No.
No. All right. That was his son. And then Bobby Wilson was the younger son, who was my age, and me. We're out. I don't know where this was.
Yeah.
You can see it somewhere where you probably had a picnic because
That's
there's
what it looks
tables
like.
and stuff.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
But at least these are people who used to live in Germantown. Now, a lot of this stuff, of course, probably nobody cares. And I just love history and things like that.
Me too.
And this is me in front of my grandfather's. Back in the old days, there was a schoolhouse where all my aunts and uncles went to school. As a matter of fact, none of them went beyond there except Bill and Margaret and Emma. All the rest of them finished at 8th grade, including my father. But
well, which school is that? Is it the school is in the background?
It's gone.
Yeah, but which one was that?
It was Viewmont.
Oh, Viewmont School. Okay.
It was across the road. The first house north of the Lutheran church was my grandfather's.
Oh, okay.
And across the road was the schoolhouse.
Was the school? Yeah, they've told me that.
Yeah.
And it's gone, right?
Now, whether the car was my father's and mother's or not, but anyway, I know that we had one probably my father's first car, very similar to this. And my mother hauled out of my grandmother's driveway one day with me in it, and they, of course, didn't have seatbelts in those days. The door flew open, and I flew out in the road. I've always said that's what happened to my head. So, this my brother and me on the out at the farm. See, they had the front porch was on here, but they've all enclosed it now, and the door was here. You went up these front steps; they're gone. There's doors on the side, but otherwise the house is pretty much the same. He took me through, and the wainscoting is still there in the dining room, the same as we had it. So, you're welcome to take this, Rich, if you bring them back.
Terrific. Oh, yeah.
In the meantime...
It'll give me an excuse to drive over here, and it's a nice drive.
Yeah.
Although today we've had some car trouble, so I'm driving my brother's old pickup truck and my... Yeah.
Well, you probably don't want too many of these other pictures.
Well, I'll just scan the old ones.
You can go through them. Now, this was my Uncle Bill.
And then I'll bring them back, and we'll go through them, and you can tell me.
And this was his son.
I won't do all the family stuff,
All
just
family. This was one of my cousins, Dad's sister's daughter.
And I'll bring them on a disc too, so you can keep them on the computer. You can put them on the computer.
Yeah. Now, that's my younger brother and his wife. But these are just ones that Mom and Dad had, and I stuck in, and that's it. That's Vernon. I think I had that on those lists. He shot a bear, the biggest trophy he ever had, except a moose he got in Canada and couldn't bring home because they got caught in a snowstorm and damn near froze to death up there.
Bear, yeah. Where did he get the bear?
Huh?
Where did he get the bear?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Wonder if he over in the Catskills, or
I don't think he ever told me. I think it was up in the Adirondacks.
Oh, okay.
Because he used to go. There was a bunch of them that went to some camp up there that... Now see, here's the house again after Dad took the front porch off.
Okay.
Here. See, that's the porch is still there.
Yeah.
This porch is gone.
I like it like that, really.
Dad built the garage too, the old garage.
I live in what used to be the Dibble house. The last house.
Oh yeah, Rich Dibble?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Rich was a school bus driver.
My wife's family bought the house from Mrs. Dibble was gone too.
Oh yeah. Once in a while, Rich had the circuit that went down to Viewmont for a bus driver.
Okay.
But it used to come up when he came, I think he came back that way. He came by up to the Reformed Church Cemetery, came up the road that went down south. And if I were waiting, sometimes he'd pick us up. And because we caught the bus where Fred Funk lived, where Route 8 joins Hilltop Road.
Yep.
The bus didn't go up Hilltop Road. We had to walk down there.
Oh. I had Jay Moore as a bus driver.
Now, I also, somewhere's in here, I had a picture of Pret Kranz.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a good picture of him somewhere?
Well, we'd like another. Pret.
Well, I'll get that. I don't...
Pret was a good family friend. He was my dad's...
Pick that one up.
He was one of the hunting buddies. Pret Kranz, Eddie Stoner, my Uncle Jick, they all hunted.
I don't think it'll come out.
Oh yeah. Don't. You don't want to peel those. Those are that stick stuff. But if I can take this, I'll scan it right through the plastic. It'll come out fine.
Yeah. That's my house in Delmar.
Oh.
Paul Papp, you probably never knew him. He lived in Hudson. He came from Hudson. But he married Harriet Rockefeller,
Okay.
who owned the farm where Lute Funk lived down Church Road.
Okay. I know where you mean. I don't know the people anymore.
Yeah.
Is he... I grew up with a Sharon Papp from Lithgow.
No, Harriet was... Oh.
The Papp side.
I don't know how many brothers he had.
Yeah, but I don't know what her
Oh,
father...
and of course, I think he's passed away now, too. He was in a nursing home for years. But outside of that, there's nothing in here that I think would interest you. It's all my folks and things of that sort. And you probably got enough pictures of Mom and Dad and some of these others. That didn't last. I can put that back.
Figured it out.
Now,
You guys doing okay? Anything you need or
No,
drink or...
we're having fun.
Okay.
now you got a good picture of this, haven't you?
But see, that's why I'm here, because we have copies of these, and if I can get the originals and scan them into the computer, they'll be better.
Well,
I believe I've seen that photo. He must have loaned these, almost all of them, to us at one time.
Oh, okay.
these are, this was the Mountain View House. Of course, it was the old seminary that was built by Philip Rockefeller and didn't last very long because the minister of the church and the minister who ran it got to fighting, and Philip said, the heck with you guys. So he closed it and opened it up as a hotel.
So you're hearing the old stories, the old
I know,
dirt.
this
It was there and it burned, I think, in 1908. But if you've ever heard of the Rockefeller Association, their first meeting ever was held in this building.
Well, see, today it's all gone, and when you see, and that was a huge building.
Yeah, this was.
It's huge. You can't even. It's wider than it is.
It's on the corner
longer
where
than it is.
Lawrence's had his stand for many years, and there was an insurance office there for
Yep.
a while.
Yep.
I don't know what it is now, but it's
Bank.
where the gas station is now.
And it's not that far back, right? I mean, really, 1900 or so.
1908, I think that was. But
Completely gone.
this was my first wife's father, Jacob Eckert, who ran the hotel for many, many years. Now, I don't know who that pastor was. That wasn't Ricey. But that's my wife there, confirmation day, that they had in the Lutheran church.
You sure you don't want anything to drink?
This is the Lutheran
No,
church.
I'm really okay.
Well, holler if you guys need
All right.
anything.
We're just kind of
Now, most of these
talking
are,
about the old days.
you probably don't care for those. That's Helen Champeau, who my brother got stupid and married. And, but she taught school in Germantown
In
for a
Germantown.
while.
Okay.
I always like this picture.
Oh yeah.
You know what that is?
Yeah. Yes, I do, because that's the pond down by
Yeah.
the. And that's when
Well,
the
this flooded
house
here,
was still there.
but the where they cut the ice was back in here. Was another little falls there. Yeah. Well, this is it coming off. This is the main pond.
When
back
I was
here.
a kid, the ice house was gone, but the Lions Club had built a shed there, so
Oh yeah.
so that we could go skating. It was great. You could.
Well,
they
of
had
course, I remember
a
when it.
fireplace and open-ended, and they had music, and it's a great big pond, and it's safe because it's only about this deep.
That's
Yeah.
great.
We used to cut a lot of ice there.
In the summer, well,
That's a neat picture.
they let the water out, and then they would dam it up for the winter.
Yeah.
So do you know Joan Macaulay too?
I know her a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
She's quite a bit. I've met her several times, but she died, didn't she?
But that was Ruth, her mom.
That was Ruth. Oh,
Her
okay.
daughter's living in the house now.
Yeah, there's more
Her
pictures of
husband.
them in here too.
Okay.
Now, you might be interested in this. Is Bob McLean
Oh yeah.
and my
Let me go check the chicken.
sister-in-law Ruth and Harriet Cross and
I wonder if they have copies of those. Do you think?
Ralph Miller. It's the it was the wedding of Lillian Barringer and Clyde Riffenberg. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of the bride and groom, but somehow I got the pictures here. Now these were, now again, there was a house that burned up on 9W.
9W across the river.
Not 9G, where you turn down to go down to the North Dock.
The Anchorage there.
A fellow by the name of Bender owned it. And I was coming down from Albany one night, because I don't know what this day, I didn't put the date in. And I stopped along the road to see the fire. And when I went to start up, I couldn't get going. Was icy and that. And first, so I'm spinning my wheels, and first thing I started to move. And somebody shouted and said, hey, there you go, like that. So then when I got out on the road again, I stopped, and I went back, and the guy that pushed me was Father Tour. I don't know if you ever knew him or not.
I didn't know him. No.
Well, he was the pastor there at the Catholic Church, and he was the greatest guy. That began a long friendship, and until he passed away up here in Troy. But we got so we used to play golf together.
Now, which house is this, though? On what road? On Northern Boulevard, or?
Yeah, it would have been. Remember, just before you go down from Dale's Bridge, there's there was a sporting goods store there.
Oh yeah, Ralph's Sports Shop.
All right. Well, the next road down.
That's Northern Boulevard.
Went down.
That's Northern Boulevard.
This house was along that road.
Okay. Marguerite will know that.
And this is just some scenes from the flood of break up 47 and 48. This is alongside the house. Catherine Foreman used to live there. She was a teacher at the school. Used to teach, I think, 6th grade. I had her as one of my teachers. And this was the lot east of the school before it was cleaned up. And that's right in front of the school, the water running down the thing. This is where Jonie Rockefeller lived.
Yep. And that picture you've shared with us before. I have seen that. I brought my video camera. I should have been using it, because it would be easier for me to put the picture together with what he's telling. But I'll have to come back, and you'll have to. We'll just go through them.
Okay. Well, you can take this one along with you too, Rich.
Okay, I would appreciate it. I really would. And
of course, a lot of these are not pertinent.
Right.
But you may want this one here.
I'll take some.
Oh, this one too. Now I don't know who those two girls were. I suspect they might have been the Beneke girls. I think he's Rockefeller. No, it's Rockefeller. Sauper. I'm not sure. But there were two Beneke girls, I think, that graduated my school. I think they were the ones. So take those along with you. Take your pictures, and I'll sort them out some more, because there's still some others here that got. I know one that I don't know where it is now. Oh, this one here. This is Marie Maynard. She taught business.
At Germantown.
She married Keith Snyder.
Oh.
Her granddaughter, Joan, I think it is.
Yeah, I know Joan, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I remember Keith real well.
She went, huh?
I remember Keith, too.
Yeah.
I grew up with Glenn.
Joan wants this picture.
Oh, okay.
So,
I have a couple others for her.
My niece, Joan Macaulay, was going to take it over Thanksgiving, but if you'll get it to her.
Oh, sure. Are there others in that binder that I would be? Are there any others in that binder that I would be interested in?
Well, you might be interested in this.
You know, I remember Mrs. Snyder very well. She taught me typing.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Oh, you too?
Russ, you have your.
Hi. Oh. Hi. Well, I know you. My first wife, Johanna Eckert.
Yes.
This was her graduation from high school, and that's her right there. Now, I don't know.
What year is that, do you know?
1938. And that's Janet Crawford.
Okay.
Ray Crawford's sister.
Yep.
Now, I don't know who the rest of them are. Again, you'd have to put them up.
You may have shared that with us.
Bob McLean's in there.
We may have identified a bunch of those.
I don't know who those guys are. I think one of them is Clyde Riffenberg. I think that's Clyde right there. And I know Marie Kukon's in there somewhere, but I don't recognize her. She was a very good friend of Joe's. And I don't know if you've got the copy of that or not. So take that along and look that over too. And if you find something you want, why fine. I don't think.
Now this was in there, right? This I'll put that right back in the same binder. I don't want to get them mixed up.
Now there are a few scenes in this from around the Central House.
Oh yeah.
This is Central House there. This is Joe and her sister Ruthie. A bunch of them sleigh riding in front of Dr. Henry's office.
Yep, I remember Dr. Henry.
These were friends.
I broke my collarbone 3 times, and I saw him.
I don't think there's much else in this one.
Well, why don't I, I don't want to take too many that I can't get done in a week or so.
Okay, well,
and then
take what you got there. And,
yeah, I don't want to get, because I don't want.
When you get a chance, I'd be glad to have you come back if I'm still here.
Well, don't say that.
Don't wait too long.
Hey, there's no.
Because
Russ,
when I came over
Russ,
here,
there's no guarantee for either one of us.
That's right. I know. But my guarantee is, I wouldn't put much guarantee on me at all. When I came over here, I was using 2 liters of oxygen. Now I got to have 4, at least 5 if I'm moving.
A day?
So, and 5's the limit. So.
Wow.
So I'm not going anywheres, Rich.
All right. Well, is next Sunday good? I mean,
sure.
Sunday, okay. Yeah. Maybe even Friday. I have to see.
I'd like to see Mary too.
Well, maybe I'll talk to her, because the only thing she wanted to come, but and her back is kind of bad. I didn't know if she could do it, but she's right now. Her grandson doesn't have a car, so he depends on her. She's kind of grumpy about this because she has to get up at like about 6 in the morning, drop him off at work, and at night pick him up. And he's a young kid. You know how young kids are. So she would have been happy to come, and we talked about it. And I kind of just sprung it on her because, well, you sent those last photos. That's why we started talking about it again. And because it's been on my mind ever since you sent us. You gave us a couple CDs with photos too, with the light.
Oh, you asked about my
family tree. Yeah, I don't think I have my gizmo to copy it, and I'll get it next time.
Okay.
Because we can extract just the GEDCOM file.
Okay.
And then I can import it into my family tree.
Okay.
And because I've got the Holver's family tree, I've got most of ours. Coons is big.
Well, I've got a tremendous number. I got over 1,500 because I didn't bother to separate them. I got all my first wife's family in there too.
Oh yeah, everybody, yeah.
And there were a lot of Koches, and I didn't follow them all the way to a point, but I got quite a few of them.
But see, you know your stuff, okay? So that's as best as we can do.
I keep adding Denegars because I find them somewhere. It's a woman that two women in North Carolina that don't know each other, but one's in the Miller family, and another was in the Denegar family. And Luana she's a nut. She's done an awful lot of work. And there were Denegars in Troy. A lot of them apparently moved up there, a fellow by the name of Charles. And from there, they had a bunch of kids and spread all out. And I'm wondering if I'm not missing some people. Because I found recently a census where there was somebody spelled one that I know was Denegar. Denegar, D-E-N-A-K-A-R.
K-A-R.
There are still people in Troy by the name of Denegar. I'm wondering if...
Right. Well, you know how the names don't... It's all how you wrote it down or how people could spell.
Well, originally it was Dininger, D-I-N-N-I-N-G-E-R, on many of the old church records.
Well, Coon is K-U-H-N.
Yeah.
And it was Coon, and then it became Coons only a couple generations ago. So.
Well, there's one Coon is married into my.
I'm surprised there's only one because
there's at least one.
That name is pretty common.
I've got three. Christopher Coon, Henry Coon, and Mary Coon. Well, Mary Coon, I know, married Arthur M.C. Denegar. And strangely enough, Arthur lived in Claremont, not Germantown. And a whole bunch of kids out there, they named him Arthur Michael, whatever that was, Claremont Denegar. And then he's got relatives that were Claremont. I mean, brothers and sisters. Apparently to distinguish them from
the
same name in Germantown.
Yeah.
Now according to my thing, Arthur M.C. Denegar was the father of Reg Denegar. Now, I'm not sure.
You're not positive, yeah.
Because there was Luther, Albert, Reginald, Ina, and Robert.
Just check here, but I don't think I brought my gizmo to just put it on.
Yeah, I love. Now, one more thing that you might want to take sometime. I have. I wrote a book that I don't have any more copies, but there's one in the Germantown History Department.
In the History Department, yeah.
And in addition to that, I've got a folder that's this deep on my life, and it starts right from the beginning, and includes a lot of stuff about my father and mother, including the stories of the seminary that you have the picture of there, that was in the Chatham Courier.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of things, I think, written up by Walt Miller. But it also has got a lot of stuff on my mother's high school. I thought that was interesting that she and Julia commuted from Germantown to Hudson to go to high school.
I know. Well, they didn't have a high school.
No, the high school didn't come along until Mom graduated in 1914.
Yeah.
And the high school in Germantown didn't start until 27, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think my aunt, Mrs. Henderson,
Yeah.
Was one of the first classes. I do have these flashcards. Do you have a card reader that goes in here, or no?
No.
No, shoot. Well, it's all right. I'm not gonna drive myself.
I don't think so. Yes. Go ahead.
No, that's a floppy. Yeah, but this is a good computer. You have a floppy.
My old original computer died, and I got this one, and I'm not very happy with it.
Why? It's a nice one.
I don't know where you plugged in to get that.
Yeah, it's probably just not quite new enough. And I didn't think to bring, I have a little gizmo that lets you plug one thing into another, but I didn't bring that either. Let's not go crazy. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll be back.
Okay.
Can't do everything in a day. And
No.
Just not even going to try.
Yeah. How long did it take you? 2 hours and a half?
Well, I said I want to take the long route, so I kind of cut cross country, and the only trouble I had was, the GPS is great unless you get into a big city where there's lots of roads going off, and then it's not as easy. I did have to go around the block.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to keep going, and I bared to the, But the GPS, and I didn't realize you're so far out in the woods here.
Oh, yeah.
Holy moly. It was a good ride.
Yeah, it was, my son took 2 hours and 20 minutes from Delmar, and he's got a heavy foot.
Yeah. And he probably, see, it's like, the trouble is, to get here from Germantown,
Yeah.
there's nothing but back roads if you're going across.
Yeah.
So otherwise you got to go up and around.
Go coming by the thruway. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the way I'll go back.
It's a pretty ride, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful. And I really wasn't caring how long it took, because I was just going to take the
Want
ride.
to see the country.
That's right.
Oh, I love to do that. Some of my photos I was looking through today, fall pictures in Columbia County with the trees and that.
And the old homes. I'm interested in history, and you go through here, there's some really old houses around.
Yeah.
Even back up these side roads, there's some pretty old houses. All right, I don't want to